The plane touches down, some poor dude hops out, and she nails him with a single shot, just like that. She's not exactly the welcoming type. We're introduced to Levy Kane, a guy who's seen some serious shit in his time as a Marine. This dude's having nightmares that would make anyone else want to hide under their bed. But Levy, he tries to shake it off with a nice, peaceful stroll on the beach at sunrise. Classic move, right? Nothing like a little ocean breeze to calm the nerves. But surprise, his phone starts blowing up with a message telling him to get his butt back to the base right away. So much for a chill morning. Now, things get all hush-hush when Levy meets Agent Bartholomew. This lady has got, "I've got secrets that could topple nation," written all over her. She's done her background check on Levy, knows he's basically a walking, talking super accurate rifle without any pesky family ties or BFFs to worry about. Usually, when someone points out how much of a loner you are, it's not a compliment. But with Bartholomew, she's eyeing Levy like he's the last piece to her top secret puzzle. Then there's Drasser again, and oh boy, does she have a heavy heart. She's in Lithuania visiting her dad Erikus at her mom's grave on the anniversary of her death. It's a sad scene. Man, Drasser's dad is looking worse than a soggy sandwich. Turns out he's got cancer that's pretty much a death sentence. And if that's not bad enough, he tells Drasser that if the big C doesn't get him, he's planning to check out himself on Valentine's Day to be with his wife. That's some heavy emotional baggage right there. And now for the real kicker. We're in early September, and Levy wakes up feeling like a truck ran him over. He's on a military plane, and they tell him he's been out cold with some serious anesthesia. The soldier beside him isn't spilling the beans on where they are because of all those pesky security protocols. They take all his stuff and then drop the bomb. He's about to enter a no-fly zone, so he's got to jump out of the plane and finish the journey on foot. And then he's got to get ready for this crazy adventure of climbing, hiking, and camping out by himself for God knows how long. Finally, Levy meets up with this guy JD, who's been hanging around there for a whole year. And get this, the dude still isn't 100% sure where they are. That's like saying you've lived in a place for a year and you're still using GPS to find your own bedroom. Not exactly comforting. They roll up to this west tower, and it's like someone's ultimate survival fantasy. Solar power, a backup generator, a sweet rainwater setup, veggies growing all over the place, and enough wild game to stock a grocery store. It's basically a doomsday prepper's dream come true, but in tower form. And the East Tower's just across the way. But nope, you can't go there. JD says it's totally hands-off, so Livy starts getting the lowdown on his job, and it's basically the same thing every day. Walk the edge of this giant gorge that's basically a giant no-go zone filled with enough landmines to make Indiana Jones sweat. And these aren't just any landmines. They're the kind that make it so you can't even see the gorge from space. The gear they've got is some next-level James Bond stuff, like cloakers that hide everything from satellites. And the way they stay in touch with the outside world. Radio checks every 30 days, that's it. And there's this one button, that stray dog protocol, that JD's like, if you ever see it lit up, just run. That's got to be the worst job instruction ever. Then JD starts dropping some real heavy history on Livy. This place is from the Cold War days, and apparently, it's so top secret that not even the big wigs in charge know about it. They've got soldiers from all over keeping it hidden, and the whole point of Levy's job is to make sure nothing, and he means nothing, gets out of that gorge. He tells Levi this crazy story from the 1940s, where 3 groups of soldiers on horses went into this gorge to wipe out these creepy things. But guess what? Not a single one of them came back. So the military was like, all right, let's just keep them locked up instead. The next day, JD heads out to get picked up, and the movie shows us just how messed up things are. He hikes to the spot. A helicopter comes down, lowers a rope for him to climb up. They just toss him into the mountains like he's nothing but trash. No gold watch for that retirement, I guess. Fast forward to October, and Livy's stuck in the most boring yet terrifying job ever. He's basically a glorified security guard, except what he's watching over could totally end the world. One day he's in the garden trying to grow some veggies, because apparently even doomsday preppers need to eat their greens, and he sees something move in the East Tower. So he hightails it back, grabs his binoculars, and who does he spot? Drasser. She's chopping wood, looking all badass, and for a hot second, they lock eyes. But she plays it cool, looking away like she couldn't care less that he's there. And you're sitting there thinking, oh, this is about to get good. November comes around, and it's Drasser's birthday. You know what that means, right? She's feeling lonely and kind of bummed. I mean, who wouldn't be? She's stuck in a tower with zero human interaction except for the occasional radio chat. So she does something wild. She fires a bullet up in the air and holds up a sign asking for Livy's name. Livy's all hesitant, reminding her they're not supposed to be BFFs or anything, but Drysa, she's got this cheeky smile on, and you can't help but admire her, so Livy plays along, writes his name, and toasts her from his side of the gorge. But wait, it gets better. Drysa starts blasting music and dancing like nobody's watching, basically asking Livy to join her. He's all, I'm not much of a dancer, but Drysa, she's got moves. So instead, they have this little game of shooting each other's water bottles, which is basically the most intense form of flirting ever. But then, things take a turn for the worse. Drysa notices something super creepy happening. She stops the fun and tells Livy to look down. He does, and oh man, the hollow men are climbing up the gorge like it's nobody's business. It's like a scene straight out of a horror flick. The movie kicks into high gear, and it's all action from here. Livy starts shooting like crazy, setting off a mine that takes out most of the climbing monsters. But some keep coming, so he keeps firing while Drysa lends a hand with her machine gun from across the way. They totally work together and take out all the creatures in no time. Drysa patches herself up and smiles at Livy, saying it's been the best birthday ever. And Livy goes to check the mess and replace the mines, a job that sounds about as fun as a root canal. He sees a drone popping up from the gorge and flying off. That's not part of the plan. Fast forward to December, and Livy's playing Mr. Fix-It, setting up a makeshift Christmas tree with lights and a cheesy sign for Drysa. It's kinda sweet, watching them bond over stuff like building snowmen and playing chess from a distance. They're basically the king and queen of the most bizarre romance ever. Then February hits, and Drysa's feeling down while looking at a family photo. She tells Livy she missed her patrol because she's all emotional. So, Livy goes full rom-com hero and whips up this rope-shooting gun. The next day, he shoots it across the gorge, lighting a tiny fire. This is like the grandest dinner invite in the history of ever. Drysa sees him dangling there with flowers and is like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. But she plays along. They have this heart-to-heart dinner swapping war stories and getting real about their mental battles. And for one magical night, they dance and you almost forget they're supposed to be fighting off monsters. But reality bites back when Livy has to leave. He's halfway across when the hollow men crash the party and blow up a mine, breaking the rope. Livy falls, but thankfully he's got a parachute. Drysa's not going to let him go without a fight, so she grabs her own gear and jumps after him. It's like watching two guardians of the galaxy playing out their own love story in the middle of a horror show. Livy's not doing much better. He's out cold, dangling from a tree, and a twig starts waving around. He snaps out of it and starts shooting like crazy while trying to get untangled. He ends up falling right into the mouth of another beast. It's all looking pretty grim until Drysa swoops in and blasts the monster, saving his butt. They start hunting for this rope they need, but then boom! Two hollow men show up riding these weird horse things, swinging swords like they're in some kind of medieval horror movie. One jumps off and goes after Drysa, but she's quick, stabs it in the neck, and then blasts it away. Livy's dealing with the other one. It takes his gun with a whip, so he just uses his handy backup, shoots the creature and its ride in no time. They keep trekking through the woods, passing bones of folks who probably didn't make it out either. They stumble onto this creepy abandoned town with buildings smothered by gross, mutated plants, an earthquake, cracked streets. It's like a ghost town. They hide in a church when they hear monsters getting closer. Inside, it's like a scene from a horror flick, skeletons everywhere. A giant spider jumps at Drysa. She shoves it off and it lands on another spider. More of them come out, and they're fighting for their lives. They're sprinting through the woods again, dodging more of these critters. They find a hidden door in the wall, and behind it, there's this overgrown building. They get inside. It's some kind of old military lab with dead scientists and a generator that Drysa somehow gets going. They play this old tape they find, and it's like a time machine to 1946. This scientist talking about how they were all working together on some kind of biochemical missiles, but then there's this earthquake and stuff starts leaking. They try to clean it up, but it just mixes with the local DNA and makes everything go haywire, turning everything into these mutant nightmares. At first, the whole place just looked like a harmless old science base, but the longer they stuck around, the weirder things got. Those scientists started turning into tree people, which is like super messed up and scary. They stumbled on a dusty old computer that showed that some shady company named Dark Lake had been up to no good there. Turns out they were cooking up these crazy experiments to make super soldiers, using a drone to grab bits and bobs of who knows what for their twisted science projects. But oh boy, things got real intense when Levy found out about the stray dog protocol. Basically, it's a big old nuke set to blow the whole area sky high. Just when they thought they'd figured it all out and were going to make a run for it, that creepy hollow man snatched Drasa with his whip. Levi went full hero mode, chasing after her into this secret lab where the hollow man had Drasa all tied up. The guy was a beast, had a snake popping out of his chest and everything. Drasa didn't just sit there and cry though. She fought back like a champ, even lit the hollow man on fire. When Levi showed up, the creature was screaming like a banshee. He didn't hesitate and blasted it with his gun. After the dust settled, he saw the name on its uniform. It was the same dude who used to guard his tower. He took the sword as a souvenir, something to remember the battle by. They had to get to the spot where all this horror started, the chemical leak. The place was like a nightmare theme park, with all these mutated freaks stuck in sludge. They managed to get across a bridge, but Drasa got snagged by some planty-looking tentacles. Levi hacked through him with the sword, freeing her just in time. But they didn't just escape without a fight. More of those hollow men came at them, and Levi had to go all Rambo, slicing and dicing while Drasa played defense with an axe. One of them tried to take them both down, but Levi was clever and blew up their ride instead. The explosion was nuts, but it bought them enough time to climb back up the tower wall. Of course, those monsters followed. After all that craziness, they made it back to Drasa's tower. They were hurt and exhausted, but at least they had each other. They decide to hole up for 5 days to keep from catching whatever's going around and cook up a plan to blow up the gorge and make a break for it together. The day after that, Levi pulls out his grappling gun to swing back to his tower. He's just checking in over the radio when Bartholomew jumps on the line. Sounding pretty suspicious that the lab computer's been turned on, she's convinced the other person in the tower is up to no good and tells Levi to take care of them. The following morning, Levi and Drasa are all set to go through with their plan. Drasa scribbles, "I love you," in the dust for Levi to find, and they have this sweet, tender moment before things get crazy again. Then out of nowhere, a helicopter shows up, and they've got to bolt into the woods like a couple of teenagers dodging the cops after curfew. The soldiers are onto them and start sending drones to hunt them down. But Levi and Drasa aren't just any couple of kids. They've got some serious sniper skills. They start taking out these drones left and right. They've even got some nifty mines they planted earlier, which go off with a bang, taking out all the bad guys, sneaky cloakers in one go. This explosion's so big it triggers something called the stray dog protocol. Bartholomew and her crew are freaking out, trying to get away in their helicopter, while Levi and Drasa are running for their lives like they're in some kind of action movie. The bomb goes off, and it's this massive explosion that brings down the chopper like a ton of bricks, with everyone on it not making it out alive. Levi takes a hit and tumbles off a cliff into a river, while Drasa manages to escape and hide in a cave. Fast forward a month and Drasa's living a quiet life in France, working as a waitress. You can imagine her surprise when she looks up and sees Levi, of all people, sitting at a table. Turns out it took him a good while to get back on his feet after that explosion, but he's there, looking pretty rough around the edges. They have this emotional reunion, and she's so happy to see him, they just can't help but kiss like it's the end of a rom-com. Just once, can I hold you? The film ends here.